Apple just changed the way your TV looks. And the crazy part is, most people still have no idea this even happened. We're talking about the biggest visual change to Apple TV since it was first launched. This is not a small update. This is not some tiny button change. This is a full redesign. Apple has not done something this big since iOS 7 back in 2013. That was 13 years ago. And yes, the new Apple TV hardware is still not out yet, but the software, that already shipped. tvOS 27 is live, and the big thing Apple put inside it is called liquid glass. Stay with me for the next few minutes, because this actually changes the way your Apple TV screen feels. Before we go deeper, let's talk about how this is verified. MacRumors, one of the most trusted Apple news sites, published a full breakdown in April 2026. They confirmed that the 2026 Apple TV 4K hardware is ready but delayed. They also reported that Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says the Apple TV is connected to Apple's new AI features, which have now been pushed back until iOS 27. Because of that, September 2026 is now looking like the most likely launch window. Geeky Gadgets also published a detailed report back in December 2025 about Apple's new design language. They explained what liquid glass actually is and how this new design is internally codenamed liquid glass. It is basically a fluid, generative interface that uses real-time rendering to create depth and motion. The GPU's ray tracing cores are used to create dynamic lighting effects. Apple's own official newsroom confirmed at WWDC 2025 that the new liquid glass design extends across iOS 27, iPadOS 27, macOS Tahoe 27, watchOS 27, and tvOS 27. That means it is not just an Apple TV thing. Apple is pushing this design across the whole ecosystem. The lock screen, home screen, desktop, dock, and system experiences. Flatpanels HD, which focuses on display and TV technology, did a full hands-on review of tvOS 27. They confirmed that liquid glass adds a fresh layer that diffuses light and color beautifully through transparent interface elements, almost like real glass. You can see it on the home screen, control center, during video playback, and in other parts of the system. On the hardware side, Gadget Hacks published a source deep dive in April 2026. They reported that the Apple TV device Apple has been holding back includes a faster chip, better networking, and the silicon foundation needed for Apple's AI features. The exact chip is still uncertain, with reports pointing to A17 Pro, A18, or even A19. On Twitter X, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has been the main source behind the hardware delay reports. He confirmed that the new Apple TV has new chips and in-house wireless components, and he has repeatedly pointed to a Siri-related delay. Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo also supported an early to mid-2026 launch window at first, with most reports saying Apple originally planned a March or April 2026 launch around tvOS 27.4. MacRumors forums and developer beta users have also been reporting firsthand tvOS 27 interface changes since the beta launched in June 2025. Apple Insider's hands-on coverage confirmed that the top bar is now translucent and subtly warps the video and images behind it, giving the whole interface a more dynamic look. Now let's get into the real stuff. So here's what happened. Apple held WWDC in June 2025. That is Apple's big developer conference. And during that event, Apple showed off a completely new design language called *** liquid glass ***. And they did not just bring it to one device. They pushed it to every major Apple platform. Your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, your Apple Watch, and yes, your Apple TV. Apple described it as their biggest user interface overhaul since iOS 7 in 2013. The whole design uses translucent and reflective elements inspired by the Vision Pro headset, and now it is rolling out across iOS 27, iPadOS 27, macOS 27, watchOS 27, and tvOS 27. That is a huge deal. For more than a decade, Apple's design style was mostly flat, clean, and simple. Now it feels like you are looking through actual glass. Everything bends, everything reflects, everything reacts to the content behind it. And on Apple TV, this feels different because you are not looking at it on a small phone screen. You are seeing it on a big TV screen. The new liquid glass material reflects and refracts light almost like real glass. When you hold the TV button on your remote and open Control Center, the panels actually blur, bend, and distort the content behind them. And if you have an OLED TV, it looks even better. Think about that for a second. You pause your show, you open Control Center, and instead of a plain dark box appearing on the screen, it looks like a floating glass panel sitting over your movie or show. It bends what is underneath it. It warps the background. It makes the whole interface feel alive. That is not just a visual effect. That is a completely different feeling. And it is not only in Control Center. Liquid glass also appears in the updated Control Center, the transparent dock on the home screen layout, and the media scrub bar while you are watching content. Even the edges of the home screen dock have this subtle sparkling glass effect. So every time you skip forward in a video, every time you open your apps, every time you move around the Apple TV interface, there is this glass layer making everything feel more modern and alive. On top of that, the Apple TV app itself received a major design update. Apple switched from landscape artwork to portrait poster artwork when showing lists of movies and TV shows. There is also a new visual treatment for numbers in top 10 lists. And if you use the Apple TV app every day, this is probably the change you will notice the most. Your content library now looks completely different. More like Netflix, more modern, more premium. Now let's talk about what else tvOS 27 brings, because the interface is only the beginning. With tvOS 27, any speaker with built-in AirPlay can now be set as a permanent speaker for Apple TV wirelessly. That includes Bang & Olufsen, Sonos, LG, and Samsung soundbars. Before this update, only HomePods could be permanently paired with Apple TV. Other speakers would disconnect once your Apple TV went to sleep. But now your Sonos soundbar, your Samsung soundbar, your B&O speaker, they can stay connected. That is a massive quality of life improvement, especially for people who care about audio. tvOS 27 also adds support for Dolby Atmos 916. That adds 2 extra channels, one above and one in front, giving you a more immersive sound experience. And for the first time, Apple TV now supports pass-through audio, meaning unprocessed audio can be sent directly to high-end home theater setups. There is more too. Apple is making user profiles more visible and more useful. Now, when you wake your Apple TV, you can optionally require users to select a profile. That connects to each person's watch list, music, and photos. So if multiple people in your house use the same Apple TV, it becomes much easier to keep everything separate. And for gaming users, tvOS 27 expanded support for physical controllers, including the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller and Xbox wireless controllers through Bluetooth. That means you can use your PS5 controller on your Apple TV right now. No new hardware needed. App logins are also getting easier. Your app logins can now be tied to your Apple ID. So when you set up a new Apple TV, it can automatically log you into your apps. No more typing passwords one by one with the remote. Now let's talk about the new hardware, because this is what everyone is really waiting for. The current Apple TV 4K has the A15 chip inside it. That is the same chip used in the iPhone 13. That Apple TV box came out in 2022, so by now it is almost 4 years old. The next Apple TV is widely expected to get the A17 Pro chip. That chip is built on a 3-nanometer process and supports hardware-accelerated ray tracing for better graphics in games. And because Apple has delayed this update for so long, there is also a chance it could ship with an A18 or even an A19 chip. To put that in perspective, the A17 Pro is the same chip Apple used in the iPhone 15 Pro from 2023. That is the chip that can run games like Death Stranding and Resident Evil 4 on iPhone. Now imagine that kind of power on your TV screen. That is a huge jump, and it is not just about speed. The A17 Pro is also the oldest Apple chip that supports Apple Intelligence. That means the new Apple TV will finally be able to run on-device AI features that the current Apple TV simply cannot handle. Connectivity is also getting a serious upgrade. The new Apple TV is expected to include Apple's N1 networking chip, with Wi-Fi 7 support. That means it can use the 6 GHz band for faster and less congested streaming. It is also expected to support Bluetooth 6 for controllers and earbuds. Wi-Fi 7 is the same kind of technology that top-tier laptops and phones are only now starting to use. And on an Apple TV that stays plugged into power all the time, it could offer streaming speeds and stability that the current box just cannot match. Now let's compare this to the competition. Right now, the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K costs around $50. The Roku Streaming Stick 4K costs around $35 to $50. The current Apple TV 4K starts around $125. And yes, Apple TV is more expensive, but it also wins for premium users who are already inside the Apple ecosystem. You get better performance, stronger privacy, AirPlay, HomeKit, and seamless iPhone integration. The Fire TV Stick 4K is better for Alexa smart homes and budget shoppers who want hands-free control. But here is what Fire Stick and Roku simply cannot do. They cannot run Apple Intelligence. They do not have AirPlay in the same native Apple way. They do not connect as smoothly with you or iPhone. They do not integrate natively with HomeKit smart home devices. And with the new Apple TV 4K expected to use A17 Pro or better, the performance gap between Apple TV and every other streaming stick is going to get even bigger. At that point, Apple TV is no longer just a box for watching Netflix. It becomes a ray-tracing game console, a wireless monitor, a smart home hub, and an AI assistant for your living room. Roku and Fire Stick are streaming sticks. The new Apple TV is trying to become the brain of your entire living room. So when is it coming? That is the question everyone is asking. And the honest answer is, it has been delayed because the new version of Siri has been pushed to iOS 27 and the Apple TV is connected to that update. We are probably not going to see the Apple TV refresh until September 2026 at the earliest. Apple has reportedly built the hardware. It is ready, but they do not want to ship it until the new smarter Siri is actually good enough to run on it. They do not want to release a fast box with a dumb assistant, so they are waiting. Reports from Bloomberg and MacRumors confirm that the hardware has basically been ready for months. But the launch keeps getting pushed back so Apple can align it with a much more conversational version of Siri powered by Apple Intelligence. But here is the thing, and I want to be real with you. If you already have the 2022 Apple TV 4K, you already got tvOS 27. You already have liquid glass. You already have the new interface. You already have the new AirPlay speaker support. You already have better profile switching. You already have PS5 controller support. So the software upgrade is already yours right now. The hardware upgrade, the A17 chip, Wi-Fi 7 AI Siri, that is expected around September 2026. If you are using an older Apple TV model, or if you are thinking about buying a Roku or Fire Stick, I would personally wait until September. Because what is coming does not sound like a small refresh. The chip jump from A15 to A17 Pro or better is big. The networking upgrade is real. And buying the current model now means buying into a device that Apple is already moving past for its AI roadmap. So that is the full picture. tvOS 27 has already changed the way your Apple TV looks. Liquid glass is live right now. The new TV app design is live. AirPlay speaker pairing is live. Dolby Atmos 9.1.6 support is here. PS5 controller support is already available. And then in September 2026, the new Apple TV 4K hardware is expected to arrive with a chip that could genuinely compete with gaming consoles, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and full Apple Intelligence support. This is the biggest upgrade Apple TV has ever gotten. And honestly, it was about time.